your monetary policy should look. IMF has urged the Reserve Bank of Australia to lift official interest rates further. While they may have to go even higher if the nation's government don't abandon or delay some of their multi-billion dollar infrastructure projects. Yeah, so I don't like the IMF intervening in Australia's shit, but apparently we have no choice, because unless you push back peacefully and politically, you're gonna get told what and how to act by your local politicians, who are at times influenced by international unelected bodies like the IMF. Yay. Now moving on, the funny thing is people are talking about Bitcoin ETFs and things like that, whereas this fund here actually already has the ability to directly invest in Bitcoin. However, it's not ideal because you could, go and just buy Bitcoin itself, but for some reason people are not going to want to do that. They want to wait until it's in a instrument which they feel like they are safely protected in. Now, this particular fund here, it does actually have BTC listed, so you can go in and you can invest if you wanted to in some of these funds, as well as prioritizing. No, that's probably not the right word. You can allocate a certain amount of your portfolio to BTC, low, mega low. But yeah, apparently no one wants to do that. So if you wanted to, I'm not sure if you can 100% BTC. That would be kind of funny. Again, there's also things like Robinhood and the like, but again, it's kind of different. This one's probably even worse because it's not like you can actually ever transfer your Bitcoin. You're just purely purchasing the price and watching the price. You don't never actually own any Bitcoin physically. But then the question is, do you actually ever own Bitcoin physically? It's all on chain, or you have it. Anyway, another story. Now, Adelaide might be secretly the best, coolest, sorry. Not the best, it's the coolest city according to insiders. So yeah, sucked in for the rest of Australia. so I'm from Adelaide. It's kind of funny. You know, it's funny because I don't think many people have heard about Adelaide as much as they've seen, like, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the Sydney Opera House, and Melbourne's are more well known. So hopefully heaps of tourists don't come and fuck up my town. No, I'm kidding. Come visit. You're more than welcome. Now, this was interesting as well. I tried to get some of this and do a review of it, but $20 Shiraz here has been crowned internationally as the best. The best, and it's also from South Australia. Yay! So South Australia, Adelaide's a capital city. Although our metrics might actually be a large town, though. But yeah, so you could come to the coolest city and drink award-winning Shiraz if you wanted to. Now, what else? Oh, then I was going to say, world's best coolest city, world's best Shiraz, and then world's best cryptocurrency. If you held something like Hex, Pulsechain, Pulsex, but I'll get to that. Now, abroad, well, it never ends. So now Yemen's Houthis enter the war in Israel and vow to ramp up. Okay, so yeah. Then we have the Iron Storm. IDF kills dozens of Hamas terrorists after storming tunnels deep inside Gaza, so it doesn't look like we're going to get peace anytime soon. Oh my god, blew my eardrums out. Now we have this here. This is kind of funny as well. If we want to see a arrow being shot at a Cybertruck, here it is. Spark throws off like the door.
Just have the arrow come back and. I mean, just beware of ricochets. Like, you might want to do it at a slight angle. You know what I mean?
Okay, now crypto, and yield, because you can literally see everything on chain. Now, we all know this in the Hexagon community. Even new people to crypto should be able to like do some basic chain analysis. You should be able to see when stakes are ending. You know, it's just beneficial. You can actually go in and check everyone's address that you've have ever put a stake in on Hex before. You can go all the way back to inception and see how much they hold. Almost because you know there's certain ways you could probably not ghost, mask, hide, you know, some of your holdings. Not using anything like you know the sanctioned tornado cash or anything like that. Even just processes in which you follow. You know, if you create a brand new wallet and you put money into that wallet, yes, the exchange will know, but then on chain it'll be harder to see things like that unless you're just like putting it into then your wallet, which you always use, or it's like, yeah. Anyway, chain analysis sort of stuff. Now, the reason I brought that up is because wouldn't it be interesting if you're having a look at some high interest savings accounts and you can check the rates. As you can see, as the Australian rates go up, so to do the savings accounts, for some reason, some of them are a little bit higher, so maybe they're tied to the US banks, most likely they are. But imagine if you could go in and see the banks and their transactions and where all their money is coming from and how they're using it. Wouldn't that be interesting? It would be very interesting if, but they don't let you do that because, you know, it's, I don't think it's wise to do that. But for some reason, crypto, that's all okay. Even though, you know, arguably it's better to stay anonymous. Now we have here also again investment property in Adelaide, South Australia. The yield, rental yield of roughly 5.92% again, according to this particular website. I don't know who owns and runs this, etc., etc. Same with all these websites, and it's interesting because imagine again if you could see who you're bidding against. Like imagine if you're bidding against a bank, a superannuation fund, BlackRock, and you can see how deep their bags are versus how much you are and your holdings. And wouldn't it be interesting to see if people were then, you know, going up against like a bank that actually was giving them the mortgage and driving up the price? That would be insane, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying if you were able to see everyone's position, it would make for an interesting world indeed. Now, moving on, we can see here again that's in Australian dollars. So if you were like, if you had anyway, US dollar to Australian is pretty strong right now. Now this one here, I thought I'll look at some stocks and the yield. We got the 1 year return, we got the yield, and we have the price. So some of them like look okay, but then is it the dividend providing the yield or the growth providing the yield? A lot of them are in negative, but they've got like 23% yield. So okay. So because a company has 9%, 8%, 7% yield, are people running around calling that a scam? Oh, it's a scam. What if everyone stops buying the stock? The price will go down. Oh my god. What if everyone stops buying the price of house? Oh my god, the price. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Now, this here is funny. I think, well, not this here. This is kind of getting a bit concerning. We got treasury yields in the US. I thought because that's the main market, I would say. The price and the yields are higher for 3 months and lower in 30 years. And 5 years seems to be the lowest point. Low 555 for a 6-month government yield. Now, again, the yields aren't fantastic, you know. And so where would people go to try and seek greater yields? So we've seen maybe stocks, maybe, but you know, what if everyone stops buying them? The price will go down. Maybe rental property, but that's like on par with bonds. And also many of the stocks we see, you know, where is it? Aren't the greatest when you actually go in and have a look. But to be fair, some of them are a little bit better than you know, just having a normal bank savings account. Mind you, would you be game enough to put all your money in stocks at this point in time? You have to be a brave person to do that. Now, the next thing, Uniswap, sorry, decentralized exchange. What is yield farming? Yield farming has the hottest topic of 2020. DeFi Summit goes on to explain basically what yield farming is. Now, I'm sure a lot of everyone in cryptocurrency that's probably like one of the second or third things you learn about cryptocurrency. Most likely you're going to learn about a particular token, then you might learn about the actual blockchain, if it's an L1 or if it's, you know, its own token on it. I don't know if you call it, if it's on L1. Like, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin has its own blockchain, and it's, you know, the ticker for for that blockchain, Bitcoin. It was interesting. I think there was an interview with Max Kars on Infowars the other day with Alex Jones, and he was talking about, as a story he always tells, about how Max Kars was trying to give him, I think, 10,000 Bitcoin and how much that would be worth today. And also he was just covering some stuff about Bitcoin and what it is and how it works. Didn't bring up any of the inflation bugs, didn't bring up any things that, you know, potentially could kind of suck about it, which is, you know, interesting. It's always interesting because, again, to be fair, he was a trailblazer in his time early on trying to promote how great Bitcoin is and how great it could be in the future. So just have a think. Imagine if the Hexagons are doing the same, but people are just for some reason ignoring us, or I don't know why. But slowly, ever so slowly, I think the word is getting out regarding things like DeFi and things like proper DeFi like Hex, Pulsechain, and Pulsex. Now it goes on to explain here different sorts of things. It doesn't actually show you the yield. But over here, next thing I can't say with a straight face. So remember, like, I don't know if you guys remember this back in 2020. I actually thought it was earlier. I thought it was like 2018, 19, 2020 it led into. The quote unquote, like, the yield farming was a new thing and no one knew what it was. They just remember insane APYs, but they didn't realize at the end of it, you would end up basically a lot of the time with a token that's worth nothing. So you'd put in X amount of Ethereum paired with another thing with the LP pool. It would actually absolutely get wrecked at the by the end of it, because half the time you've lost all your ETH and you're holding this token that's worth absolutely nothing. And you made 10 billion%. Funnily enough, a lot of them were food related. I don't know if you guys remember yams and things like that. That is just, and not to pick on any decentralized exchanges, but it's kind of funny when you see, like, I personally steer away from any decentralized exchange that has food in it because of that bad experience. Although I think over time, maybe people have learned how not to absolutely get wrecked. And maybe people have learned, you know, maybe create like a secondary or third or fourth token to sort of try and keep those sorts of systems in existence for longer. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But remember, BitConnect, it had like, you would sell your crypto for, you'd actually, I can't even remember how it worked. You sell your Bitcoin, you'd exchange it for the BitConnect token. So you give up your custody of your crypto, holding this shit token, which was absolutely mooning. And then you would lock that away, and then you'd get your yield, and then you'd I can't remember. You'd withdraw it. But you locked it away for a time period. I can't remember. You then get your token, and hopefully it's worth something. But then by the end of it, you ended up with a token worth absolutely nothing, and you've given away all your real crypto. Does that have similarities to yield farming? I'm not sure. It's very different because that one actually didn't have a blockchain from memory, whereas food farms, they were basically, I would say, lack of knowledge of how the LPs work. And so people would see this insane APY, they would, like yams, for example, they would go in and provide LP with a risk that, you know, the yam token is worth it's worth more than the Ethereum, and then you end up with all these yam tokens. Oh my god! And then you'd lose your Ethereum most of the time. Well, that's what I experienced anyway. It was funny, like back in the day, like one YouTube video or one tweet could come out and actually crush any of these farms that was just in existence. Oh my god. Yeah, okay, so that was funny. Now, more recently, we have Forbes Advisor, lending crypto, earn money from your crypto holdings. So, for some reason I'm off center, kind of. Hang on, let me fix that. So it's kind of funny when, you know, mainstream media now are starting to cover crypto, their version of crypto. Now, it's worth a read, but again, it doesn't actually promote secure holdings of your crypto. It doesn't actually promote how to, you know, use a wallet. It doesn't actually point out that things like MetaMask and like are starting to KYC and sort of, you know, certain if you're a network, it's like, has strange ties to JP Morgan and things like that. And then also doesn't point out, you know, where to hold your crypto. I'm not sure. Like they encourage you to lock up your crypto on in at times like centralized exchanges, or they just point out the differences. It's like, shouldn't they be pointing out the actual difference between centralized and decentralized? Now again, everyone knows this, well they should know this, and if they don't, maybe you should really question why you're in crypto, besides large APYs. And he goes on to explain lending, and then in here, of all things, it actually mentions Celsius. So maybe they haven't updated their worldview just yet. But it's got here, you know, oh, deposits are not covered by like insurance, like like savings accounts are, and or depending on what jurisdiction you're in. But like, it then goes on to say, oh, DeFi lending platforms such as Celsius. What the fuck, DeFi lending Celsius? Are you fucking kidding me? How is that? Anyway, there's just one thing Forbes advisor. Maybe I should write to them and say this is incorrect, and I have to withdraw it or apologize. One or two. Now, so that was funny. That again, think about when you have a platform and you're lending, the implications that are in place and whether or not you can actually use the system versus something like that's real DeFi. It's very interesting just to analyze, and just see how things have developed, how far it's come from Bitcoin to Ethereum and smart contracts to people realizing they can create these quote unquote farms to pillage and plunder people. I would say, the food farming, this one, pillage and plunder, and then there was the scams, and yeah, anyway, I don't know if people forgot about this or they went in crypto early, or well, when I say earlier, like earlier than 2019, maybe. What else? Now, again, through all of this, I don't see any promotion, any links, any referrals, any mention of things that are actually DeFi. Like nothing. There's no reference to something like how Uniswap goes down, inflation bugs. There's no reference to how certain decentralized exchanges are voting and what they're doing. Also, the fees that they're enabling, and also how AVAX is getting Etherscan built block Explorer turned off, which would kind of suck. Also, how Bitmain stopped paying their employees. Again, they don't even talk about how to mine, quote unquote, mine cryptocurrencies in that Forbes advisor article. I'm not even sure they understand it in terms of just basics, what it does, how to do it, why you should, why you shouldn't, pros and cons, why buying mining hardware when your coins make you more. So, if you had to spend all this money on a miner, then all of a sudden the coins are worth more. Anyway, remember the. Anyway. Now, so all of that, right, is lacking, I would say, in the cryptocurrency space. Generally speaking, there's lack of understanding what cryptocurrency is. That's why I think the hexagons are probably near the higher echelons of the cryptocurrency understanding, I would say. Those that, you know, openly support, I would say, Hex, Pulsechain, and Pulsex. Again, if people want to create, like they want to build, that's fine, because you got to, I guess, build on Pulsechain. But there's a fine line between building, competing, and shitting on something. So that's just my thoughts anyway. But like I said, Pulsex is here. It's actually on Pulsechain. It allows you to, and there's a bridge. You can literally remove all of your headaches and worries from some other some other blockchains. If you feel so inclined to do that, and then you could put it on a decentralized exchange, which you have less worries about, it being censored, or maybe not turned off, but I would say censorship is the main issue that I'm noticing. Censorship goes hand in hand with regulation. depending on what the regulations want to do. So imagine going all the way back to the beginning. If you have, not how cool Adelaide is, but if you have Australia being told how they should roll out their monetary policies from the International Monetary Fund, the International Monetary Fund also, can make suggestions to the Bank of International Settlements and the like on how cryptocurrency should or shouldn't be regulated. And that flow on effect you could see as a user if you listen to someone like Forbes and their explanation of crypto without doing further research. Because to be fair, I think they just put out what they understand at the time. And I'm not sure if they, actually do go really deep into different understandings of how various tokens actually work and function. Now, in closing, Pulsechain is not, unless JP Morgan comes in and purchases all of Pulsechain and runs all the validators, it's highly unlikely it is centralized in any way, shape, or form. And how would you even know if they're doing that? That's one thing as well. Versus Ethereum, when they're weird Ethereum network connections, MetaMask with their strange inclination towards KYC, and Uniswap and their delisting of certain assets on a quote unquote decentralized exchange on a decentralized network. Yeah, in practice it's not so, but they can say whatever you want, but I would say Pulsechain is more decentralized than every other blockchain out there. I would say PulseX is the most decentralized exchange versus other exchanges on Ethereum. When you see Uniswap, how they're doing their moves, etc., etc. Again, if I'm wrong, just my lack of understanding. Oh, I could change my worldview if anyone provides further information. Now, here we see the performance of PulseX, INC token, and Hex. Hex on 2 chains. If you want to have a look. Yeah. So if you haven't heard about Pulsechain, I really think you're missing out. You've probably done some searching, I would imagine, across these different assets, like anything from where you might choose to live, the types of savings accounts that there are, the types of properties and investments there are, the types of stocks there are, the types of bonds there are, the types of cryptocurrency platforms that there are. And my mouse is not working for whatever reason, a bit of delay. And I hope you understand some of the history, like remembering food, like literal food, DeFi, staking, DeFi, quote unquote staking, and the shit show that consumed, but probably tricked some people. I'm not sure. I can't believe. Anyway, and when you read some articles, it's probably good. I know it goes against like doing your own research, because if you do, if you're a dumbass and do some research, you might come up with the wrong conclusion. But if you really go back and have a look at crypto and what it's done in the past, and the cryptos that are sort of still around and the use cases, centralized versus decentralized, actual decentralized regulation could be coming to, say, something like Ethereum. Imagine worst case, absolute worst case, absolute worst case, somehow it gets like shut down or something. There's literally other options out there. But yeah, again, arguably DeFi, Ethereum as well included, is cannot be shut down. They could say you can't use it, but anyone can spin up a node. But at this point in time, maybe you want to have a backup plan, people. Maybe, just maybe, you want to be able to afford some nodes for a fraction of the price that a Ethereum node is, or I don't know, a Bitcoin miner. I don't know if people are still building these big fucking huge farms because of the difficulty currently you'd be experiencing. Maybe you can still, maybe Ethereum's not too bad at this point in time, but you might need a lot of video cards, which you could, or you could research and have a look at some other making it validated for Pulsechain or something, and actually supporting real decentralized finance. That is about it. Watch for the regulation. Watch for the censorship, because it's coming. And if the IMF ever rolls out Execute Order 66, then I hope you put some comments into the SEC and IRS or wherever you can, because this is worldwide, people. This is worldwide. All right.